explaining to you, your environment as well. Do you understand that? I hope you understand what I'm saying. So ancestry and ancestors is not just limited to blood and to physical flesh and blood. It's also dealing with environment, because environments are ancestors. Because you have your environment inside of you. I'm gonna ask brother to mute your line because we're getting some feedback. But I hope that answers your question. Okay. Okay. We have 817. You're on the air. What is your name and what is your question?
Hello. Good evening. This is Victoria.
Hey, sister. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm loving your show. This is the first time I've come on your show, and I'm very intrigued. But my question is this. I've experienced, I don't even know how to start, but I'll do my best. The beginning of this year, I've noticed that, like in January, all kind of turmoil has affected my family. And I'm wondering, if you can notice signs or the effects of someone either hexing you or, you're going through a bad cycle. I know that something is attacking my family. I don't know if it's a person or a thing or it's just a bad cycle. And my question is, what is it that I can do to counteract those effects to bring balance back into my family's life? And just real quickly, I'll let you know that my husband, he's from India. He was deported back to India. He's been gone ever since January. We're trying to get him back. But I lost my house, I lost my job, and it's just been an uphill battle. So I guess you understand my question.
I'm trying to understand what exactly is your question, because I'm hearing what you're saying.
Okay. My question is, when one's life is out of balance, when things are just left and right are happening like that, negative things in one's life, and
right.
you feel that either you're being attacked either by a person, maybe someone's doing something to you, or maybe
right.
A person or a thing or an entity, or I don't know, but it's something's not right. It's not natural. I'll put it that way, just to make it simple. Something that's not natural. Is there something you can do to counteract that, to bring balance back into your life? And how can you identify that, yes, this in fact is something that's not natural?
Okay, yeah, okay.
That I could do on my own, because I can't necessarily at this time afford a practitioner or seek out a practitioner, and I'm very limited to what kind of supplies that I could probably go out and do for myself,
Right.
So I'm just...
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Okay, look, the fact that your mind has alerted you to the fact will let you know, one, that you've already identified that there's something that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times what happens is you have to understand that your mind is also plays a valuable role in this as well. It's not just about things that exist in your environment and so forth. It's also about you being a mind, a personality or a citizen amongst many minds that exist. So your mind and even the spirit beings of the mind and so forth that live within you will alert you and will say, hey, listen, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, so if you recognize that these things are happening, you can recognize them once through your mind. There's different ways you can divine. Like you said, you're not able to go to different diviners and so forth. And this is where, last week I started explaining about how to create a traditional shrine.
Oh, okay.
Comes into play, because these things will be able to help you. And this is something that you don't necessarily need to go to see a practitioner or so forth like that. And this is one of the things that I explained in that show. So if you get a chance, travel back to the show. It's in the archives, and it's titled How to Create a Shrine. There's two shows. There's that show, and there's one show after where I start getting into detail about it. And go over some of those things and listen to that and actually start implementing some of those things. And then when you have questions, like I was speaking to the sister before, don't hesitate to call and say, okay, listen, this is the problem that I'm dealing with. How do I deal with this? Da-da-da. And then we can start getting into it, because that's why I put that information out. But being able to create a shrine where, like this brother that I'm speaking to, where you start making that blood link, where you're dealing mother to mother, blood to blood, seed to seed. You're linking back to the knowledge that exists within your bloodline, because you may not have some of these things. But what happens is that some of these things exist within your bloodline. There are different people that existed in your family that were practitioners. So you can go to the practitioners that exist within your family, within your bloodline. And you can begin to ask them to help you, to give you guidance, to lead you to the right place, to the right time, and to give you the right things to say, and so forth, that is going to get you the information that is the same thing that's responsible for putting you right where you are right now.
Okay.
And you have to, once you start dealing with these things, you have to start following what most people call coincidence. Like, it's not a coincidence that you came on the show. It's not a coincidence that you called in. It's not a coincidence you had all these issues and now you're like, well, how do I solve these? So when I tell you these things, take the time to really investigate in it, because they can help you. If they wouldn't have helped you, your people wouldn't have led you to this place. So the prime example, just really quick so we can go over this. There's much more detail when you go look in the archives of the show, but it's simple. You need to get 7 of your ancestors' names. These are blood relatives that exist within your bloodline, some from your mother's side and some from your father's side.
Right, okay.
That no longer exist in the physical. Okay? Find the people, the personalities, and so forth that you agree with, that you like, and that you vibe with the best. Take your time with some of these things. These are some things that you may find that you may have to investigate. You may have to talk to some family members. You may have to do some investigation and do some research. Say, well, tell me about, my great-great-great-grandmother. I've heard she was this, or I heard she was that. And that will give you the ability to start making the choice. Okay, then I want to use her. And the truth of the matter is, you can use all of the names. I'm just starting you out with a base now of just using 7.
Right, I understand.
Okay? Then what you do is then get 2 national ancestors. So any type of national ancestor, meaning that there's someone that existed nationally that was a part of your race or your culture that you were drawn to, and you will add them as well. So you have 9. Okay? And then what you're going to do is that you're going to get those names, and then you're going to begin to call on those names. And I'm going to explain to you, and I explained in the archives how you call the names, and I gave a ritual that can be done. All of those things that that you can do that will help you. And what happens is that is the first initial thing that you can do that will alleviate some of those things.
I will definitely go in the archives because I'm very interested in your show, so I will definitely go back in the archives and listen to it. But in regards to that, now, where I am living right now with me and my children, I'm living with my mom, so it's a very small space, but not only that, privacy is an issue. So is there some alternative I can do in place of a shrine?
Well, this is the thing. Most people are under the impression that a shrine has to be in a house. And it doesn't. It doesn't. You could create your shrine, and you could have your shrine out in the woods somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you want to make sure that's in a private place where not everyone will stumble on it,
Right.
But, there's ways you can disguise it where a person wouldn't even know what it was, or however you want to do it. But a shrine doesn't necessarily need to be in your home. That's not how it works.
I never thought of that, but okay, that's cool. And now, in your archives or on your, is that your website? What is it? Your Star IKS?
Yes, that's my website. It's www.IKS.yourstar.org.
Okay, now can I also find information on cleansings, like spiritual baths, so I could possibly, get some ingredients from the grocery store that I can make for myself? Maybe that could help me.
Yeah, and that's one of the Yes, that's one of the things I was talking about before, sister.
Okay.
None of these things you're going to find in the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All